welcome to episode 5 of the Cozy Cottage Crochet Podcast. My name is Hannah, and I am coming to you, as always, from sunny St. Petersburg, Florida, in the United States, where I live. You can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook as The Cozy Cottage Crochet, and on Ravelry, it's just The Cozy Cottage. If you have any inquiries or questions or anything related to the podcast specifically, please do send me an email. That is the absolute best way to get a hold of me. I will guarantee that I see your comment and get back to you. My email address is, and I'll put it down below, thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. I have so much to go over with you guys this week. It has been crazy. I'm recording this on Saturday, which hopefully will be the same day that it goes up if I can get it edited in time. I've been traveling all week for work. I got back at midnight last night, and there's lots going on right now. I have one finished object. I've got a bunch of works in progress, and I'm going to announce some giveaway winners. So without further ado, let's get started. First, let's go ahead and announce the giveaway winners. You guys, I'm so excited to give you some stitch markers. I drew one winner from the Ravelry group and 2 winners from the YouTube comment thread. So you'll each be getting a couple of stitch markers in the mail. I'm going to go ahead and announce those. So from the Ravelry group, the winner is Nicole. She was number 5. Her Ravelry name is Angelic Embers. So Nicole, or the Angelic Embers, I will go ahead and send you a message on Ravelry, Nicole. If you could get me your address, then I'll pop these in the mail to you later this week. And there's 2 winners for YouTube. So the first winner is going to be number 2, which is Zelda. I'm not sure how to say this. I'll put it down below. Zelda NRJ3, which I believe your name is Z. So if you could send me an email, Z, that would be helpful, at thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com, and that way I can get your address from you and send these out in the mail. And the third winner is number 18 from the YouTube thread, which on YouTube is just Hooky Gran. So congratulations, Hooky Gran, Z, and Nicole. Nicole, I'll get in touch with you via Ravelry, and Hooky Gran and Z, if you could please email me at thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. I will get those in the mail to you. So excited! Let me show you a couple of the stitch markers. So I showed these as beads last time. Oh, they're moving. They got little umbrellas. I have some mushrooms. I do have this, my oil slick bead is what I call it. It's so pretty. And then I have this one right here, which I'm not sure if that's showing up, but it's a little ribbon and it says Hope on it. So you will get 2 in the mail, each of you. And thank you so much for everyone who participated and for everyone who likes and comments and subscribes. It's awesome. So let's go ahead and jump right in then. I do apologize if you hear any weird sounds in the background of this podcast episode. I'm recording in a different place. Normally I record when no one's at home, just me, and I record at the kitchen table. But today I'm in the spare bedroom because my brother is home and my husband is in the garage sawing lumber. He's a maker too. He just makes wood things out of wood. So if you hear any strange sounds, it's probably the saw in the garage. So first up, what am I wearing? Now, this is a shawl that I finished a couple of podcast episodes ago. It's the Your Golden Lace Shawl by Cecile Balladino. I got it out of a Summer Shawls little booklet that came with an issue of the Simply Crochet magazine. I made a larger one of these in Karen Simply Saw for my mom, and then I made this one for myself. It's very light. I made it out of lace weight yarn. So last time I shared this, I didn't know how to wear it. I couldn't figure out how to get it to a way that I would like it. It looked like I was wearing a turtleneck like this because it was all spread out. But now I think I kind of like it like this, like kind of drapey, just more like a scarf instead of a shawl. I don't like to wear it like this. But this is the first time I've really worn it since that episode, and it just feels so much more natural and comfortable right now. So the prompt for the giveaway on the Ravelry thread was my Yarny story. I wanted you guys to tell me how you got into crochet. What was your Yarny story? So I think it's only fair if I tell you guys how I got into this as well. I think that I learned how to crochet, like just basic like single crochets and chains when I was maybe 8. I vaguely have this memory of like my great aunt teaching me and then crocheting something onto the top of a towel. But I don't have a towel. I have no evidence that this ever happened. But I feel like that's when I learned, but then I promptly forgot. I didn't keep up with it at all. In college, I learned how to knit. So my dad knits. He's an amazing knitter. He makes like hundreds and hundreds of hats. That's his favorite thing to knit. And he tried to teach me and it just didn't work. But in college, my freshman year in college, they had like a craft group where you could go and like do different crafts. And so I showed up because I didn't really know anyone at the time, and I learned how to knit that night. And so I wanted to learn how to knit because at the time I had just moved to college. I still had all my friends back home, and I was spending a lot of time on the phone, particularly with a couple of people who just wanted to talk to me for hours every day. And not that I didn't want to talk to them, but I felt like I was getting nothing accomplished. So I wanted to learn how to knit so that I could have something to do while I was on the phone for a couple of hours at a time. So I learned how to knit, and then what I did was I just made scarves. I probably made maybe 8 or 9 different scarves and gave them away. I actually made my husband one. We were just friends at the time. We weren't even dating. He wanted one, and he still has it. This is the scarf that I made him. Ooh. It's a knitted scarf. It's quite long. I did not understand what blocking was at the time, so it is rolled up into a little sausage. This is actually how wide it is. So it's just a simple blue and black striped. I honestly don't know what kind of yarn this is. It's definitely acrylic. It might be Red Heart Soft. I'm gonna go with it's probably Red Heart Soft because it's got that sheen on it a little bit that Red Heart does. He hasn't used it very much, which I'm not upset about because we live in Florida. And this is a heavy scarf. Like, this is something you would wear up north. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking. I didn't know what I was doing. So, and it's so long, I'm still wrapping. This is the scarf. So I made several of these for my friends. Another friend of mine has a red and black one. It's striped. I don't know. I was really into stripes at the time. So he still has it. It's still in the closet. Now that I've dug it out, this is the back. Let me show you. And this is the front side. Now that I've dug it out, I may block it so that it stops being a sausage roll. So I knitted, and after I stopped talking on the phone all of the time, I stopped knitting. And then I knitted on and off again, here and there, throughout college. I would make like one thing, and then I'd put it away. And finally I decided I didn't really like it. I didn't really like knitting anymore. And I picked up crochet about 5 years ago now. I taught myself how out of a book, and I got a hook and a ball of yarn, and I was off, and I have never looked back. I don't even own a pair of knitting needles right now. I don't know what happened to them. I did have a pair, I believe, of 6mm knitting needles before this last move, but they have since vanished. And I'm not really interested in knitting, so if you're worried that this is going to turn into a knitting podcast, you don't need to be worried because I don't even own a pair of knitting needles. The only things that interest me as far as knitting is concerned is socks with a caveat, because I do not like tall socks. I don't wear them. I certainly am not going to wear wool socks because it's Florida. Unless it's the winter, which gets to be, 50 degrees maybe, so I might wear them at that point. But I don't like tall socks. I'm never going to wear them in my shoes. I would only wear them around the house, so it's pointless for me to learn how to knit tall socks because I will never use them. However, the little roller socks, like the Rose City roller patterns, and if you're a knitter, you'll know what that means. Those I think are really cute. So maybe someday I'll knit those. And the other thing that interests me about knitting is sweaters, garments specifically. Not that crochet cannot produce wonderful garments, because it totally can, and I'm in love with the crochet garments that I have created and the ones that I am creating. But knit is just a completely different texture, so it's a lot thinner of a fabric usually. So that kind of does interest me, but like I said, I don't even own a pair of knitting needles. So right now you don't have to worry. The next thing on my list is not to pick up knitting again, it's to learn Tunisian crochet. So that is my goal for next year. I don't know if I'm going to get to it this year, maybe in the fall, because there's just so many things on my list. Do you guys relate to that? You have so many patterns to crochet and so little time, because that's my whole life, basically. I'm like, oh, I got to put that on my list. Oh, I need to put that on my list. And then I'm like, when am I ever going to make all of these things? There's too many wonderful things to make. So no knitting for me right now, just crochet, hence the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast. I also don't sew. I would really like to learn how to sew, not quilting, and I don't want to do dressmaking and things like that, but I would like to be able to make simple garments and project bags for myself. So simple skirts, like Amber from the Yarn Hoarder podcast she has a no pants revolution going on right now. She's made like 20 skirts to wear out of awesome fabric. I would love to be able to do that and just have something unique, but I don't own a sewing machine, so that's probably not going to happen, because I don't want to buy a sewing machine, certainly not brand new, because what if I hate it? I tried sewing twice before in my life, once when I was really young and I was miserable. But I was really young and I didn't know what I was doing. And the second time was it was right after I got married, so I don't know, 6 years ago now. I borrowed my mom's sewing machine, and that thing is older than I am, by the way. So it was like, it had to be cleaned before I could use it. I had to figure out how to thread the needle and everything, and then I just bought like a random pattern and I tried to do it myself, and really what happened is I picked a pattern that was incredibly complicated, and I just did everything wrong. So I don't think that I should learn how to sew by myself, at least unless it's maybe only if it's straight lines. So I scrapped it. I got really frustrated, and I was like, I hate sewing. I'm never doing this again. But reflecting since then, I think that I just way overreacted, and I picked a pattern that was way too difficult for someone who had never touched a sewing machine before. So maybe someday, again, if I ever get a hold of a sewing machine, then I think I would like to learn. But right now, crochet is where I am at. So that's my Yarny story. That is how I learned how to crochet. That's where I come from. If you did not share your Yarny story in the Ravelry thread for the giveaway, go ahead and share it in the YouTube comments, because I love knowing how people join the Yarny community. So first, let's do my one finished object. This was a whip. Last time I recorded, I was waiting for one more ball of yarn to come in, and it is my finished crochet mini skirt. So last time I had these 3 bands done, the gray, the green, and the red, and I didn't have any ends weaved in, and it was too short. It was really inappropriate. I ran out of yarn. This yarn is Universal Yarns Ariana. It's discontinued. I got these 3 balls at Tuesday morning on clearance for $3 each, but it wasn't enough yarn, so I spent some time searching online. Universal Yarns still does have some of this on their website, so I managed to get it's limited colors though. They didn't have all the colors, so I did get a ball of blue. I haven't worn it yet, but it is washed and blocked. See if I can bring it closer. Oh, sorry, the camera's like kind of blowing out the color a little bit if I get too close. The lighting is it's gloomy today. It's so overcast. Apparently it's been raining in Florida all week. I have no idea because I was in California for work. So I missed all of the thunderstorms, but today it's very gloomy outside. So it's kind of dark. It's almost like it's wintertime, except it's not, it's June. I'm really excited to wear this. I may wear it this week. If I do, maybe I'll take a picture and put it on my Instagram. I did not have a pattern for this. I just winged it. I just did the waistband and I did some increases for my hips, not too many because this is very stretchy. So I think it'll work just fine. That's my finished object. So let's move on to works in progress. I have a lot. I have had a lot of crochet time. I'm gonna have to put this knitted scarf behind. I just threw it over the computer because it's hot. It's hot. This is fine because it's lacy. That thing, so hot. Just sitting on my lap, I was burning up. Which is why my husband hasn't worn it. Because Florida. So the first work in progress I want to talk about is something that I spent a lot of time in the last podcast complaining about. And if you watched the last podcast, you will know it is the Seashore Bliss cardigan by Drops Design. It is a free pattern. It is nothing but diagrams. It is nothing but a giant headache, is what it is. Last time I was only at the yoke still, and I had split off for the sleeves right before I recorded, but then ripped it back because the armholes were slightly too small for me. I have since completed the entire body of the cardigan, which I wasn't expecting. However, once you get past the yoke and you split off for the sleeves, it gets infinitely easier because it switches from using 5 or 6 diagrams in one row to 3. One for the main stitch and then one on each side for the little, like the button band, basically. So let me show you. I'm so excited to actually have some real progress on this. This is it. Turn it around, maybe you can see better on the back. When I recorded last, you guys can see this little stitch marker. It's right here, but I had ripped back a couple of rows, so probably I was about here on the yoke, because that's where you split off for the sleeves. I have since done from where this stitch marker is all the way down to the bottom, and then I did an edging on the bottom of double crochet and single crochet. Now I am fairly certain, I'm going to put it on so you guys can see. I feel like it's kind of hard to see. I'm fairly certain I did the decreases incorrectly, or the increases rather. You increase a little bit for the waist, and it just says in the pattern like every, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch increase but it doesn't tell you where, and you can really only increase in a double crochet row, which is only every so many rows. You can't just increase randomly, which is what it would seem like the pattern is telling you to do, because it relies on you having a certain number of stitches. So I feel like I did it wrong, but you can't tell. So this is what it looks like. Let me stand up, maybe you can see. I still have to do the sleeves. Yeah, this is my little project keeper, and all the way down is what I've done. I still have to wash it and block it, leave in the ends, and maybe find some buttons for it. But I'm really, really, really happy with it. I think I want to say it's worth it. I still don't know if it was worth the headache that this cost me, but it's so beautiful. And I love the lacy pattern, and I love the color. So maybe it will be worth it. I'm hoping to get some work on the sleeves done in the next 2 weeks. I don't want second sleeve syndrome, so I may work on them both at the same time. Possibly. We'll see. So that is the Seashore Bliss cardigan. I'm going to go ahead and say it's worth it, because now I know so much more about crochet charts, and I feel like I could probably tackle another Drops Design pattern without wanting to kill myself. And hopefully it won't take me 9 hours to do like this much of it next time. We'll see. Okay, so that is work in progress number 1. Work in progress number 2 is from issue 47 of the Simply Crochet magazine. It is on page 56. It's called Creme de la Creme. It's this lacy summery top. Now, I have wanted to make this for a while, but I haven't had the yarn. I just haven't found a yarn that I wanted to make it in. And I was going through my stash, and I found this yarn. Patton's Canadiana yarn. I have had this for over a year in my stash. I had 5.5 balls of it, I believe. And so it's 100% acrylic. It is a worsted medium weight yarn. You get 192 yards per 100 grams. And it's in the colorway Toffee Crunch. And I just have not had anything to do with this yarn. Every time I open up my yarn stash, which is coincidentally right behind me in the closet, and the reason that the doors are not open so you can see it is because all of my yarn is in bags, like plastic grocery bags, to keep the dust off of it, because I'm really allergic to dust. It's not beautiful. I don't have a beautiful yarn display, so I cover it up with a closet door. I didn't know what to do with this yarn. So when I saw this pattern, I was like, oh, well, that I probably have enough to make it. But the pattern calls for a sport weight yarn. So I did some gauge fiddling about, and I did get gauge. Now, normally I would be a size large. I got gauge for a size large, making the small size pattern with this yarn, if that makes sense. So I'm making a small, but the size inches wise is large. I am not 100% sold on it, but I'm reserving doubt. I'm reserving doubt. That's not a thing people say. I'm reserving judgment, perhaps, would be a better way to say it. I'm reserving judgment until it's finished, because I know that the yarn is going to block well and soften up quite a bit. So to get the right gauge, I had to use a 3.75 millimeter hook, which is pretty small for a worsted weight yarn. Let me show you what I've done so far. Now, the pattern starts with a waistband. And from the waistband, you're supposed to do a lower section and then the upper section. I started with the upper section first without doing the lower, because I wasn't sure how much yarn I would have. I have about I have 2 balls of this left. Exactly 2 balls, which should be enough for the lower section, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough for the whole entire lower section. So I wanted to get the body of it made first. It's made in 2 pieces and then seamed up the sides. This is the back. So let's see if I can show you all these strings. This is what the waistband looks like. And then it goes into this kind of lacy shelly pattern. Right now, it kind of looks like a jumbled mess to me. Like there's not a lot of stitch definition. And I don't know if I love it. I'm trying to reserve judgment. I did the waistband and I did about this much of the back up to here, and then I was like, I don't know, this is terrible. And then I was like, well, it's probably gonna block out really well. I keep stretching it out over my leg and going, oh, but that'll be really pretty once you can see the actual pattern. I'm not sure if the variegated yarn is the right choice for this stitch. This is the back piece, and then I also have done the front piece. So right now it's kind of a crop top, which I'm not okay with, but I do have more yarn to add the lower section on, and it's going to stretch out a lot when it's blocked. This front section, I don't know if you can tell the difference. So right here, there's some color pooling going on randomly. This is, I've never had to alternate skeins on a commercial yarn before, but it was pulling like crazy. Like just these strips right here were like going straight up. So I ripped out most of it down to the first repeat, and then I started alternating skeins, and I'm still getting, like, I still kind of feel like this is a little pooly as compared to this, which is slightly, I feel like we've got some diagonals going on, but it's much more evenly dispersed, and it's the same yarn. The same number of stitches, the same pattern. I don't understand what happened. So this is the two pieces together. It is going to stretch out a lot. I'm not sold on it. I think it's going to be beautiful when it's done, and I am going to finish this. I'm not sure if it's my style, I guess. So I don't own anything brown. First of all, brown is not a color I normally wear, which doesn't mean that I shouldn't wear brown. I just don't own anything. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this is pretty? Tell me your thoughts. Help me. I'm going to keep working on it. And we'll see. We'll see what it comes out to be. If I don't like it, I can always give it to someone and then remake the pattern in a yarn that I like better. And I've liked that yarn. I can't figure out for the life of me what to make with it, which is one of the reasons that I stuck with this pattern for so long and made both pieces, because I'm like, well, what else am I going to use the yarn for? It's been sitting in stash for so long. And I picked it up at a Dollar Tree, which is a store in the United States where everything is $1. I have never seen yarn in a Dollar Tree before that or since then, not even at this one. And there were 6 balls and they were $1 each. And this is still, it's not a discontinued yarn. You can still get it on the Patton's website. So I don't know. I don't know why the yarn was there, but I snagged it. And then I was like, oh, this is completely outside of my normal color palette. Like, what am I going to make with this? I don't know. So I don't know. Tell me your thoughts. Do you think it's okay? That's work in progress number 2. Work in progress number 3, I am really excited about. In my quest to make garments, specifically for the spring, I am making, this is out of a magazine, Easy Breezy Crochet Lace, April 2017. It was put out by Crochet Magazine. It's just a crochet lace special. I picked this up at my local grocery store, and I've never seen them carry a crochet magazine before. So I saw this and I immediately grabbed it, because I really like it. It's got so many patterns I'm gonna make. This is the pattern. It's called the Venice Lace Top by N.T. Maglia. Normally it has a name, but I'm not sure if you guys can see this. Like that. N.T. Maglia. This is a crop top. That's a little short for me. I have a rather long torso. So I don't like crop tops. They kind of make me uncomfortable. I don't mind like spaghetti straps and V-necks and mini skirts, but like crop tops, I don't know. They just are outside my comfort zone. So I'm going to make it a little bit longer. The yarn that I am using, I wasn't even planning on making this pattern right away. But when I was at Joann's, I don't even know. Oh, I know what I was there for. I was getting little clasps to put on the stitch markers. That's what I was getting. And I saw this yarn that I have not seen at Joann's before. It is called 24/7 Cotton by Lion Brand, and I know this is a pretty common yarn, but none of the stores in my area have carried it up until this point. It is 100% mercerized cotton, and what mercerized means is it's a little softer, it's very high twist, and it's put through a process. Mercerization is the process by which it makes it glossier, shinier, not so dull like some cotton yarns can be. Think of maybe like a sugar and cream yarn. So you get, let's see, 186 yards per 100 grams. It is a worsted weight yarn, although I think it's a little thin for a worsted weight yarn, personally. This is what the yarn looks like. Look at that red. I love it. I had to buy it for this top specifically. I saw it, I knew it was meant to be. So what I have made, this is made in a front piece, a back piece, 2 shoulder pieces, and then they're seamed together. This is the back. Scoot back so you can see. Maybe if I bring it closer, it won't blow out the color so much. See that fan pattern? I love it. I love red. I don't own a lot of red things, which I'm trying to rectify because I feel like it's a color that I can wear, and I love bright colors. So this is the back piece. This is exactly how many repeats the pattern calls for. It is too short for my liking. This is what I have done so far of the front. So I have done 6 repeats out of the 8 that are called for in the pattern. What my plan is, because I only have 2 more full balls of this and then what's left of this 1 ball, is to make all the repeats that the pattern calls for, make the sleeves, then add rows to the bottom. Now I think that I can get another ball of this at Joann's if I run out, but I did buy all that they had when I was there, so I think that I'll have enough to at least put another repeat or 2 on this pattern at the bottom to make it longer. I can't wait to wear this. Like, it's so pretty. And before you go, oh my God, you crochet so quickly, I did all of this on the plane this week. I had about 12 hours of plane time plus some airport layover time going to California and back, and that is when I did both of these panels. This entire panel I did yesterday, all 6 repeats. And it is working up fairly quickly because I'm using a 6mm crochet hook, which I haven't used in a while because I've been doing that Seashore Bliss cardigan in sport weight yarn. So I was like amazed when I started crocheting it and it went so fast. That should be done next time, I hope. I'm really excited about that. And then the last work in progress that I have, well, I started it and then I ripped it out because it wasn't working very well, is this. It's in the same issue of Simply Crochet magazine, issue 47, and it's the cover. It is the Peppermint Pretty tank top. I have, I believe, just enough yarn left from my Hotel of Bees cow to make this top because it's a tank top. Won't that be perfect? And I think what I'm going to do is make the front and the back at the same time in variegated until I run out. Then I'm going to add the blue in. Then I'm going to add the white in. And I should be enough yarn to do the whole thing. And if there's not, I do have this extra little ball of blue as well. Now, I started with a variegated. I got through maybe 4 rows, and it was crinkling. I got gauge with the hook size 4mm. They call for a 3mm hook. I got gauge with a 4mm. because my yarn is a little bit different. Normally I do the foundation chain with a size up. So I should have done a 4.5 millimeter chain for the 4.5 millimeter hook for the foundation chain. I didn't, I just used my 4 millimeter. I was like, it'll be fine. It was not, of course. I know better because I chain really tightly. And that's why I use a bigger one to begin with. So it was crinkling. It was not laying flat at all. And that's where your hips go. So I need it to be the right size. So I ripped it all. This right here is this coming out. So I'm going to start that again and hopefully have some progress to show you on that next time. I think it's beautiful. This has been on my list to make for quite some time. And I'm just very excited to be finally getting to some of these projects because so much to make, so little time. I think, okay, that is all of the works in progress. So let me pause for 1 second. I'm going to rearrange because there is yarn everywhere. And I will be right back to talk about some upcoming projects, some cows, and the finish along. Okay, so let's talk about some crochet news, some cow news. The first reminder is if you are crocheting or knitting, please don't forget to go over to the KCACY Keep Calm and Carry Yarn podcast group on Ravelry and enter your whatever you're working on. Enter the yardage because it's the crochet versus knitter cow. It's the cow. And if you're posting on Instagram, use the hashtag cowcal, KALCAL, so that we can all see your works. Right now, the crocheters are crushing it. I mean, crushing it. That does not mean that the knitters can't come from behind. So if you have a crochet project, you can count any yardage that you've started since, I think, the beginning of May is around when they started. So please go put in your objects, count the yardage. I will be adding all of this stuff. I already added that crochet skirt, everything I finished last week. As soon as this sweater is done, I'll be adding that, and that will be like a couple thousand. That'll be like at least 1,000 yards. So that's first. Second cal is, well, it's kind of 2 cals hosted by 2 separate people with the same theme. So there's the Festival of Finishing hosted by Faye of the Crochet Circle podcast, which is a craft along. So anything that you want to get finished, you have the ability to do that. She wants you to go look at all of your whips, outstanding, dig them out, and decide if you're going to frog them, donate them, keep them, salvage them, or finish them. And you really should go listen to her latest podcast because it's so thorough and so thoughtful on why we let our whips languish forever and how to get back on track and if something is really important to us or if it's better to frog it. At the same time, Catherine from Crafternoon Treats is hosting a finish along for the next month. I think it's the next month or maybe 2 months where you're going to finish some whips. So I have one whip that has been haunting me for a year and a half now. I've been working on it sporadically on and off. I showed it in the very first podcast episode, and I will show it to you now. It is my goal to finish this on the finish along and the Festival of Finishing. I don't know if it's possible. Some of these other projects are going to have to take a back seat. It is my king-sized granny stripe crochet blanket for the spare bedroom, which I am currently sitting in. It is in my giant cat bag, which Caitlin made me, my best friend Caitlin. Hi, Caitlin. It's a little overstuffed because it's a little too big, but this is where it's been living. I used to take this like to Starbucks with me and just knit on it, crochet on it. What am I saying? And it's officially way too big for that now. I don't even know if I can properly show it to you guys. This is folded 4 times. This is how tall it is. We've got 1, 2, 3 and a half stripes. This is all Vanna's Choice yarn in navy and white. It is the Granny Stripe blanket pattern by Pearl Soho. It's a free pattern on their website. Oh, it's so big, you guys. I can't even fold it. Look how huge it is, and it's not finished. The reason that it has been haunting me for so long is because it is boring. There are 300 stitches, 300 double crochets per row. And there are 30 rows per section, followed by 2 rows of single crochet. So in that blanket, I've got 3 sections times, so 300 times 30, like thousands of stitches, and it's just so repetitive. But I really want to get it finished because I want to put it on the bed in this room so that when we have guests come over, they can sleep under a beautiful crochet blanket. And I picked the colors that way, not like super colorful or anything, because it matches the decor. We have like blue and gray sheets, blue and white curtains. I just need to do it. I'm not frogging it. I'm not donating it. It needs to be finished. So I need to buckle down and do it. So the Festival of Finishing and the finish along is perfect. Perfect timing. I did go dig through all of the closet, everything, to find out if I had any other WIPs, because I was like, no, I don't have any other WIPs. That's silly. I only have the king size blanket because I tend to finish things. That is a lie. I had 3 other WIPs. So let me show you those. I'm frogging because I don't know what it is. It's not a garment. There's no pattern with it. It had to be made with like a 9mm hook because it's the bulky Bernat blanket yarn. But I don't know what I was trying to make. Like, I have no recollection. I do remember that I bought a ball of blanket yarn and I made something in like a day and then I shoved it in the closet. But I don't know what it was. So that's going to get frogged. And I'm going to do something else with that yarn eventually. The second thing is something that is actually almost finished, and I've been procrastinating the last little bit of it, and it's a purse. This part of it, this bottom part, and this is a star stitch, was based on a pattern by Emma of Potter and Bloom that she had in Simply Crochet magazine quite a while ago. She had a little drawstring bag. So I followed her pattern for the bottom and then all the way up to about here. And then I decided I didn't want a drawstring bag. I'm not normally a drawstring bag type of person. So I was like, oh, I'll just make it a little bit taller, which I did. So I kept going, made it a little bit taller. Then I added a top flap in the same stitch, star stitch, and sewed it on. This is the inside of the purse. And then I made a strap using star stitch as well. This is just cotton yarn with some stellina in it that I got. It has been in my stash for probably since I picked up crocheting, so 5 years. I only have a little bit left now. So this looks finished, doesn't it? There's no ends. What could possibly need to be done? I need to crochet a motif and cover up that little metal thing. I put a magnetic clasp on it. But I haven't used this purse because it's sticking out and it like catches on stuff, the little top part. So all I need to do is like crochet a heart or a star or a flower or even a little square in the same yarn and sew it on. That is literally the only thing pending. So I'm definitely finishing that. I can't believe that's still hanging around. I did that like 6 months ago. Crazy. the last work in progress is, I think, going to be frogged as well. It was a circular shawl pattern that I was working on, and it calls for fingering weight yarn. And I, in my wisdom and knowing everything there is to know, of course, was like, oh, I'll just use it as a stash buster and make it out of worsted weight yarn. You can't make a shawl, like, this is not going to work. This is how much I did of it. These are the ridiculous ends. Not only do I not really like it, I like the red. But some of the colors I chose, I'm like, what? I don't know what I was thinking. I don't feel like they go super well. So I don't super like the color order. And it's also really thick, but it's also full of giant holes. So I don't feel like it would be good to make a circle blanket out of it if I just kept going. This has just been hanging out in this bag that one of my friends gave me, procrastinating, which even though it's crochet and not knit, I thought that was hilarious. It's been hanging out in this little bag for so long. I think I'm going to frog this. I feel like it's looking more pretty in the picture than it is in real life. Like, it looks bright and vibrant and like boho, but in real life it's kind of like dull. I don't know. I'm not happy with it. And it's just been hanging out. So even if I don't frog it, I'm not going to finish it for sure. And I don't really want to weave these millions of ends in. So I think I'm going to frog and make little granny squares. I don't even know where I got this. It's like a charity knitting pamphlet, but it's got a pattern for solid granny squares in 2 colors, like this. And I think that would work a lot better than going around and around and like, I don't know, it doesn't bring me any joy. And that is one of the things that Faye said. If the work in progress is not bringing you any joy, maybe you shouldn't keep working on it. I should also mention that for every finished object in Faye's Festival of Finishing Ravelry thread that gets posted, she's donating £1, up to 150 pounds, to a charity, which is awesome. So definitely go post your finished objects there. So those are my whips that I dug out of the dark recesses of my house. The other cal I wanted to mention is the Summer of Romance cal, being hosted by Claudia of Crochet Luna podcast and Clarizabeth from Crochet Cakes. They're hosting the Summer Romance cal, and I am making, first of all, if you didn't hear the last episode, my couple is Wesley and Buttercup from The Princess Bride. And this is what I'm making. The Sunshine Lace Top by Jill Hanreddy. It is also in the Easy Breezy Crochet Lace magazine that I picked up. What I am going to do is make this part in yellow and this part in gray. So yellow for Buttercup and gray for the Dread Pirate Roberts. And these are my 2 colors. I think it's perfect. This is the yellow and this is pewter, but it's gray. So it'll be like this. I think it'll be good. And the sleeves, I don't know if you guys can see these poofy sleeves. Poofy sleeves aren't normally my thing, but I feel like Buttercup would totally wear long flowy sleeves. And the yarn that I'm using is Hobby Lobby. I love this cotton. I ordered this online specifically for this project, which I hate doing, but I don't have a Hobby Lobby near me, and I really wanted to use this cotton. But they charge like $8 for shipping, which drives me insane. Like, I could be spending so much money, and then I get to the end of the where you pay, and it's like $8 for shipping, and then I question everything. I'm like, do I even need this? Should I just go to Joann? Should I go to my yarn store? So I did it because I really wanted this yellow, and I wanted it to be cotton. But that shipping kills me. I would rather almost buy it from Craftsy because they have a $4.99 flat rate shipping all the time. Whereas Hobby Lobby charges you more money the more you spend. So that's the pattern. I have not started it yet. The yarn actually came in the mail while I was in California for work. I just got to see it this morning. I also wanted to show you in this magazine, I don't know if you can get a hold of a copy. This was $10. It has 35 patterns in it. Now, of course, I don't want to make all 35, but I want to make I want to make 8 of them, I think. And I'm going to show you. That's why I think it was worth $10. This shawl is beautiful. Definitely want to make that. I also want to make this t-shirt. Gorgeous. Of course, I showed you the pattern I just showed you, which is for the cow. The Venice lace top that I'm making in red. I want to make this. The diamond tunic. And there was one more. Oh, 2 more. There's a dewberry lace shawl, which has this like awesome flower detailing down here. And then finally, something that I normally don't make. I say I've never made. If I can find the pattern. Apologies. Technical difficulties. It's on page 86. This. It's a rug. I think that is awesome. Now, it's made out of t-shirt yarn. I don't have any t-shirt yarn, but eventually I think I'm going to get some and make this because I would love to have a t-shirt rug. It's over $10. I want to make all of those patterns. That's like $1.25 a pattern. Completely worth it. And there's a few other things that I would consider making in here as well. They're just not high on my list because, as we discussed before, the list is way too long. The last thing I want to show you is an acquisition. Now, it's not yarn. I have wanted this book so much. Everyone has been posting about it. Everyone who went to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I just hadn't pulled the trigger to actually buy it. And then one time when I went on, it was sold out of the paper copy. And I'm sure you can guess. It is the Shawl Project book put out by the Crochet Project, Joanne Scrace and Kat Golden. This is Shawl Project book number 3. I want to make all of these shawls, okay? However, there is one in here. Where is it? It's the last one. This is the reason that I wanted this so badly. It's called The Temperamental Artist by Kat Golden. I want to learn Tunisian crochet specifically to make this shawl. Sorry, that's a little glary. See those beautiful shells? I am dying to make this shawl, but I have to learn how to do Tunisian crochet first. And also buy some Tunisian crochet hooks because I don't own any. I also want to make this one, Wisteria Trellis, because that edging, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And this one, which is the In Bud shawl. Now there's 2 other ones. This is the Fog Break, which has some broomstick lace going on. Elizabeth from Crochet Cakes is making this for her Summer of Romance cow. And then there is this one. Oh, I'm showing the wrong page. Which is Even Cowgirls Get the Blues, which I think is hilarious. So I've wanted this, and Faye from the Lovely Crochet Circle podcast posted about it on Instagram, and I had commented on her Instagram photo and said, oh, I'm dying to get this book. And she offered to send me her copy because she has a digital copy, and so she didn't need the hard copy. And at first I was like, no, you don't have to do that, because I really like hard copies of things. I tend to carry my crochet everywhere. I don't always do it at home, and it helps me to look at paper when I'm trying to figure things out. I'm all for computers and online and everything like that, but I really like to have something that I can look at when I'm trying to figure out a pattern. She said she wasn't going to use it, and she offered to send it to me, which is so sweet and so kind of her. And she was just going to send it to me for free, which is, that's so nice. So what I did, it was the perfect timing, because I didn't want her, I know that shipping from the UK to America is expensive, because I have mailed things to the UK, and it is a lot of money. So I didn't want her to have to eat that cost. So what I did is, I have been planning on ordering this anyways, as I ordered her Take Two book. Because I have wanted to purchase this. I didn't purchase it specifically because she volunteered to send me this. I want to make the patterns in here, but specifically I want to make the Colosseum shawl. I apologize. I cannot figure out this camera today. That is what I bought that blue and pink yarn for, from Gage in Austin, Texas, that I showed you guys last time. I want to make that shawl. I have wanted to make that shawl for a while. It has been on my list, and because my list is getting shorter, because I'm going through things, I mean, it's not getting shorter, but I'm making progress. This is crept up on the list, and I wanted this book, so I bought this so that she could send this to me in the same envelope and not have to eat that cost. I highly recommend the Take Two book as well. There's so many awesome patterns. I also want to make, let me show you on page 26, this bag. Look at it, it's awesome. And if you watch her podcast, you'll know that she makes the most wonderful crochet bags. I have only ever made one bag, and it is this one that is not finished. So I would really like to make this. That's on my list. So she sent me these. Faye, you're so sweet. And she also sent me a lovely little postcard with a sweet, sweet note on it, and a copy of her Doppio Colosseum, which is the 2-skein version of the Colosseum pattern. So the Colosseum pattern you work top down, and the Doppio Colosseum you work bottom up. So I may have to make both of them. And then she threw in these little crochet tags, which I'll read to you what it says. It says, I have deemed you crochet worthy. And then at the bottom it says, it takes a lot of love and yarn to make nice handmade items. So although I trust you, the wash care instructions are on the back, just in case. And then it's got washing instructions. So cute. I'm definitely going to use that, because you know people are getting handmade things for Christmas. So thank you, Faye. You are so sweet and so kind, and you did not have to volunteer to send me this precious, precious book. And I'm so thrilled that I have a copy of your Take Two now, and I'm definitely going to use these. So thank you. You're the best. Whew. That was a lot, you guys. We've gone through a lot. I do want to give some pod love out before I end this episode for 2 podcasts. Both are newish. One is UK based and one is in the US. So for the UK based podcast, it is called Lottie and Albert. She's got 2 episodes so far as of today. It is crochet only in those 2 episodes. So there's no knitting or anything like that. And honestly, she is so sweet. Like, her voice is so calming. She just sits there and she's sweet and she's just gentle, and she shows you beautiful yarn. And if I were trying to relax, I would go watch that podcast, because she just has a very calming presence, which I really appreciate. And she makes beautiful things. And the second podcast is called Melody Crochet. She is based in Texas. And I want to say she has 4 or 5 episodes now. She's been posting pretty much weekly recently. That is a knitting and crochet podcast, although there's quite a bit of crochet. So if you are looking for crochet only, those are hard to find. But she does knitting and crochet, and she makes shawls that are so impressive to me. Like, the amount of shawl making that she can get done in 1 week blows my mind. So definitely go check them out and give them some love. I am so excited. There's more crochet podcasts popping up here and there. So I think that's it. This is going to be a long episode, I feel. You should see the area. So you guys are sitting on the bed. I'm talking to you as you're sitting on the bed. I'm sitting on the piano bench in front of a closet, and it looks like someone threw up yarn all over the bed and projects, because we've talked about so many things. So I'm going to sign off for now and hopefully get this edited and uploaded in a couple of hours. Tell me your Yarny story if you didn't in the Ravelry group. If you won, please send me an email at thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. That way I can get your address and then send you out your stitch markers in the mail. So until next time, thank you for watching. I so appreciate it. If you loved the video, please hit the thumbs up, please subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!